Good morning, second graders. Happy Monday. I am so sorry that this video is coming to you so late this morning. I've been having computer trouble all morning trying to record, so I ended up having to get a different computer to use to make the videos. So we will jump right in. I will try to be quick to get through this math so that I can also upload your journey story for the week, okay? So we're going to do the reteaching lesson today for math. You have no assignments that you need to do to complete for today, because you're going to have your test tomorrow. So tomorrow when you log on to Pearson Realize, you will see that you have a Topic 12 test that you can take. So this lesson here, this reteaching, like we normally do in class together, is going to give us some review and prepare us for the test tomorrow, all right? So let's get started by looking at set A. Set A says you can identify a solid figure by finding the number of faces, edges, and vertices, okay? So those are some vocabulary words that we learned in the very first lesson of Topic 12. So let's first look at vertices. If it's just one, we call it a vertex. Vertices is the plural. Vertices are the corners of the solid figure, okay? So notice that these arrows are pointing to these corners in the cube and the rectangular prism. Then we have faces, okay? Faces are the flat surfaces. So once again, look at the cube and the rectangular prism. We can see these flat surfaces or faces on the shapes. And then finally, edges. Edges are where two flat surfaces meet, okay? So you can see this is an edge where I'm drawing my cursor. This is an edge. It's where the flat surfaces meet in the solid figure, okay? So a cube has 6 faces, so 6 flat surfaces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Let's look at the rectangular prism. A rectangular prism is similar to a cube in the sense that it has the same number of faces, edges, and vertices, okay? So let's look up here. We can't see all of the faces because, of course, it's a solid figure, but we have to assume that if there's a face in the front here, there's also a face in the back here, okay? So let's count them. 1 in the front, 1 in the back, that's 2. 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, that's another 2. And then 1 on the side and 1 on the other side, that's another 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. I apologize, that's Lola tearing up her toy basket. Lola, no. Okay, now edges. Just like a cube, a rectangular prism also has 12 edges. The edges are where the flat surfaces meet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So just like a cube, a rectangular prism has 12 edges as well. And then finally, vertices, or the corners of the shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices. Lots of computer trouble this morning. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I was able to draw an 8 there for the vertices. Now let's look at the sphere. A sphere is like the shape of a ball, a round ball. Think of like a bouncy ball or a basketball. So how many faces do you see, flat surfaces on a sphere? There are 0 flat surfaces on a sphere. Nothing flat about it. It's totally round. What about edges? Well, if there are no flat surfaces, then there can't be any edges, right? Because edges are where flat surfaces meet in a solid figure. So there are also 0 edges. And then finally, vertices, corners. Are there any corners on a sphere? No, 0 vertices as well. So a sphere has 0 faces, 0 edges, and 0 vertices. All right, let's look at set B. All right, set B. Set B is identifying not solid figures, but plane shapes, 2-dimensional shapes, right? These are not solid. We can't hold these in our hand. These are totally flat. Plane shapes, P-L-A-N-E, okay? So we have triangles. Triangles have 3 sides, 3 vertices or corners, and 3 angles, so the inside of the shape. Those are called the angles, all right? Quadrilaterals quad means four. They have 4 sides, 4 vertices, and 4 angles. Pentagons. Penta means 5. We have 5 sides, 5 vertices, and 5 angles. And hexagons. Hex means 6. There are 6 sides, 6 vertices, and 6 angles. All right, we're going to draw lines to match the shapes to the words, okay? So we have some plain shapes here, flat shapes. We're going to draw lines to match each shape to the words, okay? So the number one thing you should look for when you're looking at plain shapes and you're trying to determine what it is count the sides first, okay? Because if you know how many sides a shape has, you're going to be able to determine what it's called. A triangle, a quadrilateral, a pentagon, or a hexagon, okay? So let's count the sides on this shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do we call a shape with 5 sides, 5 vertices, and 5 angles? That's called a pentagon. All right, so let's draw a line, see if I can do that. Pentagon, good. All right, next shape. How many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vertices, 4 sides, 4 angles. What do we call that shape? Look up here at set B. That is called a quadrilateral. All right, next shape. Count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides, 6 vertices, and 6 angles inside the shape, inside the vertices. Those are called angles. What do we call a 6-sided shape? Look up here, hexagon. And finally, we have a 3-sided shape, 3 sides, 3 angles, 3 vertices. That's called a triangle. Oops, there we go. All right, let's move on to set C. There we go. Okay. Set C says you can draw a line or lines to show equal parts. What does equal mean? Equal means the same as, okay? So if the parts within a shape are equal, that means they're the same size. This square has 2 equal parts. 2 equal parts are called halves. If you split something up equally between you and someone else, you each have a half. Halves, okay? 1, 2 equal parts, halves. This triangle has 3 equal parts. 3 equal parts are called thirds. 3, third. Makes sense. So this triangle has 3 parts that are the exact same size. They're equal into thirds. The directions here say draw a line or lines to show equal parts. All right. For fourths, how many parts do we need to have? 4. 4 equal parts is fourths. This square is going to be split into fourths. You can do it a couple different ways. I'm going to draw as best I can equally this shape in this square into fourths by drawing rows. 1, 2, 3. Notice I only need to draw 3 lines to make fourths. I have 1 up here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know they're not completely equal. I tried my best. If we were to do this not hand drawn, it would probably be a little bit better. All right, you can also draw columns. So I'm going to delete these. And instead of drawing 3 lines across, I'll draw 3 lines down to make fourths. 1, 2, 3 lines, and I can count my parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 equal parts. All right? Let's look at number 5. Number 5 asks us to draw halves. Halves. Halves means 2 equal parts, okay? Let's first identify this shape. What is this called? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 6 sides, 6 vertices, and 6 angles. What is that called? That's a hexagon. All right, we are going to split this hexagon equally into halves, 2 equal parts. We'll start, let's do straight down. Let's make 2 columns. 1, 2. I split this hexagon into halves. I can also draw a line straight across the middle of the hexagon to split it into halves. And I have 1, 2 equal parts there. So important to remember that equal means the same as. So if you have equal parts in the shape, they have to be the same size. The parts have to be the same size. And let's finally look at set D. All right. Set D says you can divide a rectangle into equal squares. Okay, so we talked about equal parts. We're dividing rectangles this time into equal squares. It got cut off a little bit up here, but we can see, oh, there we go. If you divide across, you are making rows, and if you draw lines down, you're making columns. Columns are vertical, rows are horizontal, okay? So this rectangle has been split into many squares. Let's see if we count by rows, how many equal squares are in each row. So we have 2 rows here, 1, 2, and each row has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 squares. 6 squares plus 6 squares equals 12 squares in all. We can also count by columns. We have more columns than we have rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 columns. How many squares in each column? 1, 2. So we can add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 6 times equals 12. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 12. Either way you do it, if you count by rows or by columns, you're going to get the same number of squares, 12 squares.